So, welcome to Cloud Native Chronicles for ITQ. We're at Red Hat Connect Summit, and I have a very special guest with me. Luca, welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Luca Berton, and I'm super excited to be here with you.
Cool. So, tell us a little bit about what you're known for, what you've done. I gather you've written some books about Ansible.
Yes, correct. I'm working a lot, especially with AI-powered platform engineering nowadays. But my career started 10 years ago, working with Ansible, and I worked directly in the Red Hat engineering team. This gave me opportunity to collaborate directly with customers, especially in high-regulated market. And during the pandemic, I was a little bit bored. So I started a YouTube channel called Ansible Pilot, and then it became a blog. And I decided to pack everything inside a book, and was a different angle because there are already wonderful books about this type of technology, but I want to give a little bit of my vibe. I also worked for the biggest use case of Ansible worldwide, and now is my time to go freelancing and helping people worldwide.
Cool. So one of your books is Ansible by examples for VMware, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because with ITQ we come very much from that infrastructure background, a lot of VMware stuff. So a lot of my colleagues will know your material from that time. But then more recently, we got Ansible for Kubernetes. So now I'm not that experienced with Ansible. I'm going to have to admit I'm more of maybe a Terraform guy myself. But if I want to get started with Ansible on Kubernetes, where shall I start besides getting your book?
Oh, well, there are a lot of wonderful resources available outside, so I don't want to be self-referencing. And what I really like of Ansible is that a technology that use idempotency, and it basically declares the status of the infrastructure that we would love to achieve. So it's a different way to combine together. And one of the powerful features is actually that you can define your pipeline or your, it's called like a playbook of a step that you would love to execute in combination. And you don't need to see like Terraform or Ansible. Most of the setup that I'm seeing every day is actually a combination of the two technologies. Most organizations started deploying resources with Terraform, and then it does the final touch with Ansible, things like configuring users or deploying applications or connecting with your log management system or doing like day two operation, And you can do most of this operation with some Perl script or bash scripting in the old days, but I believe that using technologies like Ansible is standard, especially with young colleagues, you can have a better understanding. And yes, you were right. Ansible for VMware was my first book published in 2022. And for me, it was also a challenge because I didn't see myself writing a book, but I learned by doing, and it's also one of my best sellers because most of the people are applying this type of automation, especially in different environments, thinking about development, performance, and production, and they need to replicate having a step-by-step way to demonstrate, especially with compliance and audit ability of a solution. So I started, that is my biggest foundation because configuration management is a way to manage our fleet. But on other way, I see that nowadays more and more we are moving more in immutable systems. I heard this expression, your deployment should be treated like a cattle, not like cats. Or other people say having snowflakes. Because managing machines that are manually touched, it can introduce configuration drift, shift left, somebody say. And this is something that we don't want to do, especially if we are an organization that is at scale and leverage a lot of hybrid cloud computing resources.
Yeah. So focusing a bit more on Kubernetes and seeing more and more workloads, more and more platforms heading in that direction. So in the Kubernetes world, I'm used to tools like things like Argo CD and maybe Tekton, and trying to run as much as I can in cluster, where we're maybe pulling configuration from Git. But with Ansible, Ansible's the way I'm used to it is usually more where external and you touch objects out in the infrastructure. I mean, do these two technologies, are they mutually exclusive? Do they work well together? I mean, how would you combine some of these GitOps, and maybe OCIOps principles with Ansible?
Yeah, I really like the GitOps principle, but there is one thing that is missing in the Ansible world, is missing the agent that is detecting the configuration drift. So it's not completely adhering to the GitOps principle. For the people that are not familiar with the GitOps principle, is a way that our infrastructure is actually defined in as code, usually in a Git repository. And when we need to make any changes, we are not actually touching the machine, but we are only editing configuration file. And this is super easy, as you mentioned, using Terraform and Argo CD, that they can apply the configuration directly in a Cloud Native environment. But most of the applications are not written in as a microservice. There are still some use cases. I'm thinking about other type of industry that relies on different type of technologies. So we need to get the best of both worlds, I would say. And also Ansible is designed to be stored in a Git repository. So I would apply the same principle. Store my playbook and also the list of hosts in a Git repository, and then apply to my infrastructure using some pipeline. It could be like a Jenkins or something more fancy.
Yeah.
It could be also GitLab, let's call it workload or GitHub Actions, but everything works. And of course, because Red Hat is creating Ansible automation platform that simplify all the deployment. And what I really like about the platform that you can also apply a digital signature on your Ansible playbook. So this way you can be preserved from it's called there's an attacker that is called is related by them, not the man in the middle, but the supply chain attack.
Yeah, so it's an interesting bridge because we are at a Red Hat event, so it'd be remiss not to talk about what Red Hat is doing in the Ansible space, also on the commercial side. The Ansible automation platform, a part of OpenShift, probably saves a lot of manual engineering effort around getting Ansible up and running around an OpenShift infrastructure. I mean, in what other ways does the commercial offering from Red Hat, how does that add to what we already know from the open source Ansible community?
Well, I think that Red Hat organization is in a very unique position, especially in the marketplace. Many largest organizations depend by them and the support that they can provide. Especially, I'm thinking about airline companies, insurance, banks, and they already prove their value nowadays. So they don't need any introduction. But I really like working directly with Red Hat. I'm personally working a lot on OpenShift, especially on OpenShift AI. Now there are fantastic use cases, especially on distributed inference on different nodes, different GPUs. So this is the type of challenge that makes me proud about this type of workload. So, and as you mentioned, it's a combination of things. Nowadays, I think a professional should leverage different type of skill. I'm thinking Red Hat Enterprise Linux is a foundation, Red Hat called a platform, because this is what will be executed inside a container based maybe on UBI, the Universal Base Image, and then it will be executed in OpenShift that is based on CoreOS, and you need to understand also how containers are managed like in a non-root way. So there's a lot of things that nowadays you need to leverage, but I'm super happy to be in this AI ecosystem because I feel the challenge and the vibe of creating new things together.
So is there an AI by examples book maybe on its way?
Yes, I'm already finalizing the last part. I just sent the manuscript to my editor about a RHEL AI book, It will be out, hopefully, in a couple of months. We'll see.
Fantastic, cool. Well, great to hear from you. Thank you so much for all the material you've put out there and the efforts you helped to bring the community up to speed and to educate us all. Thank you for making the time.
I really like talking with people, and the way that makes me proud is hearing your success stories. If my book helped you somehow or to speed up this learning process, I'm more than happy. Because there are wonderful resources outside, but sometimes, the documentation is quite big, I would say, especially for a beginner. And having some guidance, the aiming of my books is just I'm sharing with you the behavior, the mindset they should have. Because the software might evolve version by version, but more or less the modus operandi, the way how we interact with the system is the same. There are some limitations created by technology. And when you know what is around, it's easy to grasp and leverage these type of technologies. And I'm super happy to collaborate with Red Hat because these type of technologies are released also as a community. Most of the things that are actually innovated, they create also an ecosystem, they work with partners. So there is an upstream of the contribution, but also, it's good that they have also commercial offering. So if you have a problem, you can always phone somebody that is keen to help you from the ground up. I think one of the values that they are from a single kernel module till up to the user interface. And there are not a lot of companies that nowadays they manage completely the full stack.
Yeah, cool. Well, again, thank you very much. We look forward to the new book, and we'll see you on an event again, probably very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of the day.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. This is Robert for Cloud Native Chronicles signing off. Keep watching our YouTube channel.